Have you ever had the fear of dying, but also have the fear of eternity, living forever? When I died and met God, that fear went away. This guy, oh my gosh, he explains it better than me.
I'm going to tell you the story of what it was like on the other side and what information or understanding I brought back with me. Because honestly, that is the most important thing. So here we go. When I came to on the other side, there was no white light tunnel. There was no family greeting me. I didn't have that experience. But obviously, I wasn't meant to be there permanently. I felt like I had a welcoming party there for me, and it was 4 gentlemen. The shortest one was about 6'5", the tallest one was about 8 foot, and the other 2 were in between there. They were all dressed the exact same way, and they were this white kind of Roman garb, like a robe, but not like a politician, more like a soldier off duty. They were definitely more soldier in style than politician style, and that to me is a very important detail. Definitely the tallest guy had like these kind of Roman straps or designs on his I hate to call it a skirt, but kilt or whatever you want to call it, and they were like brownish with gold tracing, and then he had like a brown belt, like I don't know if it was leather, but it looked leather-ish, let's say. I was being shown around a town square in an environment I would call very heavenly. Basically, it appeared as though we're walking on a cloud, which is why I think it's really interesting that whenever people paint pictures or they talk about heaven, they talk about walking on a cloud or it's in the clouds. However, it was not a cloud. I'm going to explain, and I think this is really interesting because when I was there, there's a white light that fills the air. It's almost like it has a texture to it because there's like a thickness, like a cloud. When you see something go deeper into a cloud, it begins to become harder to see. Well, in this environment, the light doesn't have a source. There's not a sun in the sky, there's not lamps on the street, there's just light everywhere. And it seems to be coming from every direction or just hanging out in the air in a weird way. And when I was talking to these gentlemen, I couldn't even see their feet because the light was so bright. You would just be blinded to their feet. And so I could imagine that if I tried to paint that, it would look like we were walking on a cloud. But we weren't walking on a cloud. There was a solid ground. There was a mountain ridge in the background of the city that we were at. And when we finished our tour around this city, we stopped near a building, which I feel is a very significant building. So I'm going to describe it to you as best I can. It was about probably 60 feet, 70 feet tall or so. But I don't know how far away it was. So that's what I felt it was. And on the far, if you're looking at it, on the far left side, I only saw the upper left corner of it because of the light and the distance between us. And what I saw kind of poking out was this corner, and it was a flat front and it was a flat roof, and it had this pillar that twisted, and at the top of the pillar that twisted, it had a very simple leaf design with olives. And at the bottom of the pillar, it had the exact same design again. And I understood that when I woke up. Not there, but when I woke up, I understood that meant that building was referencing the nation of Israel. Because in the Bible, it always references the nation of Israel as the olive tree. So I understood that when I woke up. But when I was there, the other important thing that I want to mention is I never had a single thought of earth and life. Not one single thought was in my head. And as I was walking in this plane, I felt as though these gentlemen would mention people that I would know. They would mention their names, or they would mention names of people that I had heard of before. And I never thought of those people as people I knew on earth and remembered living with them on earth. I always knew of them only in our heavenly plane. And there wasn't a beginning to me knowing them, and there wasn't like it was just kind of like I always have known them, and I knew them more as a brother or a sister, not as like a friend, not as like a mother or dad or anything like that. So I thought that was really interesting as well, which is why I'm sharing it. When I did finally stop at this building that had the flat top, now being back here, I absolutely understand that the symbolism of them showing me or stopping at that building is the fact that it reminds me of the third temple that I believe is soon to be built in Israel. And the significance of that building and that reference to the third temple and us stopping there, and then the large angel who was about 8 feet tall turning around and yelling at me, telling me to go to work, and this is what he was telling me to do. I don't remember the details by any means, but I already knew everything he was telling me to do, because it was all the things I've heard my whole life from God to do. So it was just basically I was being yelled at, saying generally like this: while you've known that you were supposed to do this, you know that you're supposed to tell people that, you know that you've learned this knowledge and this information, and you know that you're supposed to go and share that with people. As he was saying that to me, I only understood it as I was going to go in that heavenly plane and share it with people. And even though he was yelling at me, like he seemed kind of really stern, he wasn't angry, but he was like very stern, like he really wanted me to understand the importance that I had to go and do this. And again, I only understood that I was supposed to do it in that heavenly plane because, again, I did not have any memory or reference to earth. I was only in that plane. As he begun to finish telling me this, though, commanding me to go and get to work, I left that heavenly body that I had, which was a completely different body than this one. I think it looked a little better, and it was definitely a little bit more manly and strong, so that was kind of cool. But I kind of got sucked out. My spirit got sucked out of it, and I was standing about 50 feet away, kind of watching the whole scenario go down. I had the 3 other angels to my direct right, almost in a line side by side to each other. And then I had the large angel kind of front left, and he was tilted over me, and I was looking up at him, and he's pointing his finger at me. And as he was doing this, and I got sucked out about 50 feet away, I'm watching this scene, and that's when I really noticed the temple behind us and the mountain ridge in the background. And then all of a sudden, where my spirit is, 50 feet away, a porthole opened up, or like a vortex opened up, and I all of a sudden like just got sucked into it. And the whiteness of that world became blackness. And then the blackness kind of faded into a whiteness. And as it faded into a whiteness, I woke back up into this world. That was when everything became foreign. Because while I was on the other side, I never had a single sense that I was in a foreign place when I was in heaven. It was like I had been there for eternity. I recognized it, I knew it. You know, there may have been things that were new to me, which is why they were showing me the town square, but I didn't ever have the feeling that it was foreign or unfamiliar. But when I woke up here, and I had this nurse leaning over me, he was wearing green scrubs, I was like, where am I, and why is this guy dressed funny? And why am I in the worst pain I've ever felt in my freaking life? It was the most horrific pain you could ever feel. At least what I think you could. This is what it felt like. If you could imagine a clogged drain, just completely clogged, and you would have to take like a knife or a pick and just shove it down the drain to unclog it, that was how every single basically vein in my body felt. And as the blood was trying to pump back through every freaking ventricle and cell in my body, it felt like it was just being like beat through, and it was so painful. It lasted about a minute and a half. So I kind of feel like I kind of imagine it to be like what it would feel like when we're babies and we're born into the world. You know, we're floating around in our moms for 9 months, and then all of a sudden we get crammed through this hole and we pop back out. I kind of feel like basically this was a second birth for me. And finally the pain went away, and my memory started to come back, and I realized, oh yeah, I used to be alive. Oh yeah, this is Earth. Oh yeah, I'm Nathan Wheeler. Oh yeah, this sucks. Because now the only thing I wanted was to go back home. I wanted to go back to the other side so bad that immediately, like depression, realizing that I was being forced to come back to life to do something. I know that sounds like a blessing now, but it was not a blessing to be not in that place. It's torturous. And when I finally came to, the nurse had told me you were gone for about 6 to 8 seconds because she was so scared of telling me I was gone for about 30. Everybody left, And then the doctor comes in later and he says, you were actually gone for over 30 seconds. This is of great concern to us because we've never seen anybody go that long before and come back on their own. They had the defibrillator at my feet when I woke up, and they were just basically like getting it charged up to bring me back. But I came back on my own, which I think only solidifies the experience I had on the other side, that I was being told to return with a message. If I had been brought back with a defibrillator or drug-induced, revival, I'm the kind of guy who would have doubted the experience was genuine. Just because you guys don't know me, that's the kind of guy I am. I'm actually very scientific, and my faith is built on things that I've been able to prove to myself over the course of my life. So this had to happen the way that it did. I had to die for no reason. Basically, just my heart issue got really bad one moment and I flatlined. I had to predict it happening, and then I had to come back without help. That was the only way that my experience would have appeared authentic to myself. And that's what happened. So that's why I have enough confidence to share this with you and risk looking like a fool on the worldwide internet, because I know that what I experienced was absolutely the truth. If there's anything I forgot, I'm sure there is. I'm going to cover more of it in videos to come. But the questions that I've gotten from Jenny Girl on YouTube asking me what was foreign, this world was foreign when I returned to it. While I was in heaven, I didn't feel foreign at all. I didn't even question it. I also been asked, did I have an understanding of what the men were telling me? Yes, I was never confused. I was never anxious or worrisome about what they were telling me. I was in an absolute peaceful, joyful state. I cannot tell you how absolutely peaceful the other side is if you're on the right side of the tracks, let's say. It was so good, and it was so amazing that, have you ever asked the question, like, I don't know if I could handle eternity? That would kind of freak me out. That just the idea of eternity is almost more scary to me than even hell. Well, when you're there, you're not scared of eternity at all. In fact, you feel like you've already been there for eternity. It's all that you know. And you have zero fear. The fear gene, let's say, it doesn't even exist in you. Anxiety doesn't even exist in you. It couldn't exist if it wanted to. That is how good it feels on the other side. And for 3 weeks after I came back, I struggled with horrific depression because all I wanted to do was die and go back to the other side. Even to this day, if you came up and put a gun to my face, which no weirdos out there in World Wide Web land, if you were to come up and put a gun to my face and shoot me, I would be like, sweet, I'm going home, finally, yes! And that's absolutely the truth. But now I got my pacemaker. Everything is ticking good. I don't have chest pain, so that's nice. And now I do this because I'm told to. And there's going to be a lot of things coming in the future. Also, I don't want to forget this. April from Facebook asked me, you used to not believe in heaven, but you are a Christian. So what did you used to believe? I definitely did not believe in heaven or hell. I definitely always believed in God because I feel that I've heard him my whole life and I've had a relationship and I could feel him my whole life. So I never doubted that God was real. But I did doubt that heaven or hell were real. And I basically put them in the same category as the North Pole with Santa Claus and the elves. I thought it was something that man created and inserted into the Christian faith system in order to kind of give people hope. But whenever I thought about myself dying, I always had this sensation of absolute void, absolute nothingness. And I probably would be an atheist if it wasn't for the fact that I've heard and felt God my whole life. Because I think about death and I think of absolute void. And now that I've experienced what I did, I believe 100% that I experienced it because I've been baptized in the name of the Messiah, of the water and the Spirit, as was commanded of me to do. I'm so grateful I did that before I died. And I would encourage you all to do it as well. If you don't believe, continue to watch these videos, because the other thing you asked, or you stated, April, was that I'm a Christian. I'm not a Christian. I'm a believer of the Messiah. I'm a follower of the Messiah, and I believe in the Bible. I don't believe in Christianity. I think that Christianity is a man-made religion, and there's a very significant difference between Christianity and the Bible. And if you read the Bible as I have, from the first word to the last, yourself, straight through, and study the history of the Judaic nation, you'll understand who the Messiah really is and what he really is. And that difference makes all the difference in the world. It also makes all the difference on the other side. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry, stay tuned. I'm going to be making videos just about that. In fact, that is the message that I got sent back to share. Now, before I forget, guys, there's also one other thing that I really want to make sure I drive home. And that is that when I returned to being alive again, and the nurse told me I flatlined, you would think that the natural reaction to that would be, oh my God, I died, and oh, you know, how quickly and easily we can die, and the fear of death might set upon you in an extreme way. Because of what I experienced, I had zero fear of death whatsoever. If anything, I was like, this sucks being alive, which I just explained to you recently. But a greater fear, if you're scared of death, which I imagine there's a lot of people on earth who are scared of dying, especially if they don't know really what's on the other side, like I didn't. Imagine a fear even greater than that when you die, go to heaven, come back, and you realize that you didn't live your life how you were supposed to. That you didn't live your life doing and being the thing that God created you to be. My fear of that, once I've come back, was far greater than my fear of death ever was. And to explain to you how absolutely terrified I was of death, I would lay in bed at night when I was a kid, and even sometimes as an adult, I would lay in bed at night and I'd be praying, and I would just feel that black void of death fall upon me and realize that one day I'm going to die, and there's absolutely nothing I can do to stop it. Nothing. It's going to happen. One day I'm going to know, whether I like it or not, what death really is. And it would be absolutely just, I'd freeze in an absolute stunning fear. The fear of me dying and not have lived the life that I was proud of and not have done the things that I knew I was born to do was even more terrifying of that now that I've gone to heaven, since I don't have that fear. And that's the best way I can describe that. So if you have a passion, if you have a yearning to do something or be something or say something to the world, you need to do it. Trust me, you need to do it. However, in contrary to that suggestion, on the other side, none of it matters. And I want to make sure that people understand how much nothing you ever do on this side matters, except for whatever you do for God. Whatever you do for God here is the only thing on the other side that matters whatsoever. I liken this reality, this plane of existence that we live in, to be like prom. When you're in high school, you think about prom and graduation as like the greatest, most important moment of your entire life, and depending on how all that goes down will define how the rest of your life is going to be. But the moment you step foot into your prom and you walk onto the dance floor and you see all your friends, you realize that night and that event will never have any effect on your life whatsoever. And then, of course, as you look back on prom, you realize that it didn't affect you whatsoever, except for maybe your family's checkbook. That's about it. Maybe you have some good memories, but it doesn't affect the way that your life came out. Well, that's how this is. In this life, we think that every little thing we do, everything we do is so significant and so important and matters so much, and it doesn't at all. If you were the most famous person in the world and you did the most good deeds in the world because you're just a good person like that, on the other end, nobody will ever remember that. And if you're a bad person, you won't even know the people in heaven, because I honestly believe you're going to go the other place. But that's not the point. The point is that the only thing that matters, truly, the only thing that will even carry over is what you do for God's kingdom building. That's it. And if you don't even know what kingdom building is, if you don't know what God kingdom building is, then you need to stay tuned to this. Because I'm going to give you the secrets and the tricks to building God's kingdom and to being a very successful person according to what you will believe and how you will live on the other side. And trust me, you're going to be very glad once you've decided to live your life for the other side and not for this side. And this also will make sense of why in the Bible, when it says that blessed are they who are poor and starving and hungry, for the kingdom of heaven is theirs. when you have no ambition in this world at all, when you have nothing you're looking forward to in this world, but you believe in the Messiah and you believe your soul is saved by the Messiah's work on the cross, the only thing you look forward to in this world is getting into the next one. And that's why your kingdom is the kingdom of heaven. And it's people who have ambition in this world that are missing out on the real gift of this life. And I can't wait to further explain how to really do kingdom building. So, God bless.